I think I speak for everyone that is playing or has recently played Grounded when I say we all want the next big update now. While I didn't expect to see it until mid to late February, there is ample evidence it could be coming as early as today. In this video, I'll be discussing why I think the next big Grounded update is coming sooner than any of us previously thought, and maybe as soon as just a few hours after this video goes live. Before we begin, I want to thank all my channel members, especially the Overseer91 and Grey Knight who help make videos like this possible. You can become a channel member today and have your name appear in future videos, as well as directly support the channel by clicking the join button below or via the link in the description. Thanks again to all my channel members. Let's get started. So why do I think the Grounded update could be coming as soon as today? The reason for this is there has been a flurry of activity over on Twitter from the Grounded team in the last week. Just in the course of the last 5 or 6 days, there's been 5 different tweets that have shown new content that is not currently in the game, but is expected to be in the next update. Before we look at those, let's real quick go back to before Christmas to December 21st, where we got the first look at what's coming in the next update. This was the termite video. It's an 8-minute and 45-second video where basically the team talked about how they're adding termites to the game and they're updating the northwestern part of the map, which is where the shed is currently located. So if you're not familiar, there's a shed up in the top left corner of the map. That part of the yard is completely barren other than that shed and some grass. You can go inside the shed. If you went in there after the last update, so after the Hot and Hazy update, you would have noticed a ton of terraforming going on there. So there's probably going to be a layer underneath of the shed where the termites live. They also showed off some pictures of some wood piles and other things. Maybe I think there was a bike or something in front of the shed or to the left of the shed. So that's expected to come. There's been other pictures shown for that, which we'll see one later on. But in that video, it was basically a focus on the termites. So what we can see is the termites will be coming to that area of the map. They have been described as being tier 3 ants. So you'll notice that on the screen, the image of the termites, they look really similar to ants. So they used the ant model and modified it a little bit just to get the update out quicker. And they will have different attacks. So one of the things they do is they will spit some type of goo at you or something like that, which we don't know if that's going to slow us. It could be like the fireflies where it slows you, or maybe it does some kind of damage over time. Who knows? We'll have to find out when the update comes out. But they're definitely being added in the next update. And that was before Christmas, so we got that little bit of a teaser, but there was nothing else really shared for a couple weeks, honestly expected because of the Christmas holiday. So flash forward to January 14th, which is just a couple of days before I'm recording this, and we got this tweet here that says, wow, that's a mighty fine family right there. And you'll see that we have the infected mite, the current lawn mite, and this mite over here on the right side. We'll make it bigger so it's easier to see. Now, my speculation was this was a dust mite, but based on size, it might not be. So let's real quick look at what it could possibly be. There's been some good ideas that I've seen shared in my comments as well as by the community. So let's real quick hop on over to a couple different pictures. I'll tell you why I think it could still be the lawn mite, although there are some factors that it might not be. So here's a little side-by-side comparison of the new mite compared to the 3 mites that I think it could be. In my previous video when I talked about this, I kind of thought it was a dust mite because if you look at these two, they look almost identical. Like they look like a carbon copy of one another. But there are some reasons that it might actually not be a dust mite. So first of all, if you looked at the picture, you saw that this new mite is about the same size, maybe slightly larger than the current lawn mite that's in the game. A lawn mite is about 3/4 of a millimeter or 0.75 millimeters in size. And it's almost guaranteed that that's what they are in the game because they're red and they live in the same places, tall grass, weeds, berry patches. Those are all the spots that lawn mites are found. So if we can go off the fact that that is most likely a red lawn mite, and if we think that even if it's not the exact size of the 0.75 millimeters, that everything else will be scaled similar to size to it, the dust mite would probably be disqualified because a dust mite is only 1/4 of a millimeter or 0.025 millimeters in size. So they're microscopic. They're pretty much impossible to see with the human eye. You're going to need a magnifying glass or a microscope to see them. Now, they do have the same color, and they do live in bedding, mattresses, upholstered furniture, carpets, or curtains. Now, while those things are typically in a house, there's a little bit of a stretch that they could also be in a wooden shed in the backyard. Maybe somebody threw a old mattress back there and just had them thrown out in the garbage. Maybe there's an old couch that they took out of the house and put in the shed to sit on when they're out there. Who knows? Or old carpet or something like that. So there is a small chance it could be a dust mite, but honestly at this point, I'm leaning towards it not being a dust mite. Now the one in the middle here, while it doesn't look exactly the same, it looks kind of similar. It's much more shiny. They kind of look like they're clear, more clear than they are white. This is a mold mite. Mold mites are bigger than dust mites, but they're still about half the size of a red lawn mite. They're about 0.3 millimeters in size. They like to live in damp, moist areas with mold. So I do think that that's a possibility. If the shed, it does look like it's kind of run down a little bit. There's a chance that the wood in the shed has been rotting and might have some mold growing on it. So white mold mites might make sense to me. Although typically they are found in houses near either kitchens or bathrooms where there's leaky plumbing or maybe in a basement where there's like a little bit of leaky pipe or something like that. So that's typically where they're found. Although they could be found in a shed. Maybe there's a refrigerator out there or something that's leaking, or maybe there's just wood on, there's moldy wood inside the shed. So that could be a possibility. And like I said, based on looks, the dust mite looks more likely than the mold mite, but based on the other characteristics, the mold mite looks like it's more likely than the dust mite. So last up on our list is gonna be the white wood mite. Now, on a size factor, this one's the one that makes the most sense. Although not the same size as lawn mites, it is the closest of the three that I've looked at so far today. They are about 0.5 or half a millimeter in size. So compare that to the 0.75 millimeters of red lawn mite. You can see that that would make sense. However, if you look at the looks of this thing, they have red eyes, and just the way it looks, they don't have a little, I don't know if these are pinchers or some kind of claws that, whatever this is coming, the teeth here, the pinchers that are coming out the front, they don't appear to have those, at least on this one. But on the other hand, they do like to live in garden, bushes, shrubs, plants, and wood piles. So that would make super sense to have them in the new wood pile area outside of the shed, or just if there's like, I know there was a picture months ago or something, or maybe it was the previous public test server or something like that. There was a video somewhere where another hedge was shown up in that part of the map, up in the northern part of the map. So this would make sense based on the size and on where they live, but on the appearance, it just doesn't look like it. So I don't know. I still think the dust mite looks the most similar, although I can't really tell which one's the most likely. Let me know in the comments down below which one you think is most likely. But anyway, that was the mite that came on January 14th. Let's take a look at their next tweet, which revealed even more new information for the game. So 2 days after that, on January 16th, we got this tweet here that says, "I'll be seeing you." We'll make it bigger so it's easier to see. And what you're going to see here is, now to me, this looks like a character holding up binoculars. So there's one of two things that are going on here. They did focus on the bee, but they also focused on looking through the hands for the binoculars. To me, that could mean we're either going to get some type of long distance viewing thing like a binocular. Some people have speculated a telescope or something like that. Although with the hands being in this formation, it would most likely, in my opinion, be binoculars. However, there's no binoculars in the hand, so maybe it's just an emote. The other likely thing is maybe the bees are getting an update or something to do with the beehive, because honestly, right now, the beehive is just kind of sitting there. It's kind of in a weird place too. Like, why is there a beehive attached to a picnic table that's that large? You would think someone would have knocked it off by now. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a beehive hanging from a picnic table like that. Normally, they're going to be up in trees or maybe up in, like, hanging off of a house, something. Like, for instance, it'd be more likely for it to be hanging up here somewhere. A nest for a flying insect, like a bee or a wasp, would be more likely to be up here, like on the, underneath the eave of a house, or more likely on a tree branch, or maybe even over in the hedge area or something. Having it hanging off the picnic table is just kind of weird. Maybe that's just a temporary placeholder. I did suggest that one thing I would like to see is having the beehive get updated in the future and have it be where we can actually go inside of it. Maybe there's a queen bee. Maybe we can just go in there and get honey or something just to make it bigger. But based on its current size, there's no way that would make sense because it's just too small. You know, if you've been inside of it, you walk in, you get the nectar. There's not really that much space. Even if they open this whole thing up, it would be kind of tiny. So I think it would make sense if the beehive was actually enlarged, maybe moved somewhere else. Maybe they put it back here in the corner of the fence. I don't know. But to me, this is either we're going to get binoculars or there's going to be some kind of update with the bees coming in the next update. Shortly after the bee tweet came out was this tweet that says, "Oh, hey now, what menu is this?" And this is a custom game setting menu. Currently, the only setting you can pick in the game is what difficulty you want. So right now, you can either play creative with bugs, mild, medium, or woe. You can't, and once you pick that, you're locked into it for that world. You can't actually change your difficulty setting. And other than changing your display, your audio, stuff like that, there's nothing you can change. However, on this one, what we're going to see is, I'll pause it when it gets to the top. We have difficulty, so it looks like you can customize your difficulty. All recipes unlocked and free. So if you want to play the game and just not, I don't know if this is, now it's going to be interesting to see if this is allowed in survival, because that would almost make the game like completely game breaking. Typically, when you have things like this, like all recipes unlocked for free, that will be in a creative mode. And up to this point, the developers have seemed pretty against allowing you to change difficulties, although we'll have to see what happens when this is added to the game. Next up is going to be bug spawn. So I guess you can turn bugs on or off. That's going to be the same as creative with or without bugs. Bugs ignore player. Right now, if you're playing creative with bugs, the bugs will ignore you even if you attack them. Building integrity is an interesting one to me. So right now, you can build some pretty crazy stuff without really having to support it properly. So for example, in my most recent creative world, or my most recent survival world that I've been playing on stream the last couple of months, I built a castle under the picnic table. And a lot of times when people build stuff, they just build it and whatever. I kind of made a point of making it so that it had the the supports underneath of it holding it up. And even though from a weight perspective, it might not make sense, I kind of tried to make it as realistic as possible. I think this is interesting, and it leads me down two paths. One, they're going to make sure that they're going to have the buildings calculate weight so that you cannot just spam build 80 walls up. And they might go down the system like, and I know I always go back to this and people call me out for it. In Valheim, there's the building system. You can build structures, but each time you build a structure, the color will change. So if it's green, I think it's green. I can't remember if it's blue or green. It's perfectly built and there's no issues. But each time you add another structure on top of it, the chance for the color to change goes down. So eventually they'll end up being red. And if you put, I think it's 2 red pieces on top of each other or connected to each other, it'll end up collapsing if you don't put a support beam in there. So building integrity might mean something like that, where you actually have to build properly and can't just have like a single weed stem pillar going straight up with 8,000 builds on top of it. Alternatively, it could be the beginning of allowing bug raids to come back into the game where we get attacked, which would be super exciting for me. I'd love to see that if we got bug raids back into the game, but those are the 2 things I think that would be. Quest turned on and off. Again, I guess this will be more if you're playing in creative. I don't know why you would want quest turned off in survival, but to each their own. Player damage on and off. Again, I guess this is giving people freedom to play it. Let's let it scroll down a little bit so we can see the rest of them. Then we have player friendly fire. So right now, friendly fire I think is only available. It's definitely in WoW mode. I think it's in medium mode, although I can't confirm. I know it's not in mild mode. So it looks like this would let us turn on friendly fire, toggle it on and off at any time. And then next up we have pet invincibility. So right now pets will just, if you don't have your pets on a place where it's safe, like either you have it boxed in or you have it like where I have mine, I was keeping them on Aphid Island so that no predators can get to them. They'll just die. So this looks like you're going to be able to make your pets invincible so they can't just get killed by, like an aphid won't get killed by the ladybugs, and the weevil will not get killed by the ants that come over. Next up, we got hunger and thirst drain, stamina drain, equipment durability, food spoiling. These are all things that I know some people complain about, especially on WoW mode. Like equipment durability is really, the durability wears down really quickly. So maybe this is a slider. I don't know if it's on or off. It looks like they're almost on or off. Although the pet invincibility does look like it has stages here. So these almost look like they're on or off, which I don't know. I'd much rather see a slider here because honestly, although in this game, hunger and thirst and stamina, they're not terrible compared to other games, but if you don't like them, it would be nice to be able to slide them back and forth. And let's let it go down. I think there's a couple more things. Menus pause game, that's an okay feature. And backpack items on death. So basically, if you die right now, the only thing you have is whatever you have equipped, so your armor and weapon. And if everything that's in your backpack gets left where your backpack is, so this will let you be able to keep your backpack. So those are tons of changes that are going to allow a ton of customability to games. It's going to be interesting to see if they let you start a creative and switch over to survival and go back and forth, vice versa. To me, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. But for me, I just wouldn't want to do that because honestly, doing that, you would just be able to go farm infinite resources and then just be able to go over to survival. And it's almost like, what's the point of doing that? Either play creative or play survival, do whatever you want, but to each their own. So flash forward the next day, January 17th, we got another new item here. It says when you see them, well, not a new item, but it looks like an update to an item. So these are armor dummies or armor stands, and this is what they look like right now, where they just are straight up and down. However, if you look at these other ones, they have different poses. So I don't know if people asked for this. Maybe it was voted on, I just didn't see it. To me, this is kind of like, okay, I guess it'll be a nice to have for people who want to pose their armor stands, but I don't know. If you like this, you like it. If you don't, I don't know. To me, this is just kind of like a whatever, although it is something new. So again, another new thing to look at. Then just today, as I'm recording this, a little bit after this went live, we got this Can't Look Away. So this is a look inside of the termite lair that was shown in that video back in December. And it's just kind of like a little spinning wheel. So I just really think this thing's coming sooner rather than later. And it almost looks like there might be eggs there. Can we stop this? Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just the wood sent out. And then the last tweet that came out showing new stuff is going to be this. It says, what was that? Find out the answer to this question and more in tomorrow's Casually Grounded stream featuring special guest, Grounded game director Adam Brennicky. So that's going to be over on Twitch. We'll talk about that in a second. And right now we'll just pause this. So I did a little bit of research, and it looks like a small beetle. Honestly, it looks like it looks like they used the lawn mite or the weevil character model and then just modified it. To me, this looks like a beetle, and I think it's one of 2 beetles. So I narrowed this down to 2 different beetles that I think it's most likely one of the 2. The first one would be the fig eater beetle, also known as the green fruit beetle. And it says these are commonly found in yards, compost heaps, and mulch, and that they like to be near decaying material. So based on that, where they live, it would make sense for them to be inside of the new shed area where the wood pile is, because the wood looks like it's rotting. Maybe there's a compost heap behind it. People like to put compost heaps behind their sheds in their yards. There could be mulch somewhere around up there if they had a garden area. So these would make sense of being up there. Now, the only thing is with their size being 17 to 34 millimeters, 34 millimeters on the high end is about half the size of the current red lawn mite. So based on size, that'd be a little bit of a stretch. Although they do look a little bit smaller than, I don't know, there wasn't a side-by-side comparison. They do look kind of small. The second beetle it might be is a green June beetle. So these guys live in the southern states and they feed on juicy fruits. So that's kind of a little bit weird. The southern states does make sense because we were told the game takes place somewhere in like the Midwest. So it could be somewhere in the southern Midwest. Now, on looks, it does look kind of similar to the one that we showed. Although one size are only 20 to 25 millimeters. So they're even, I guess on average, they're going to be smaller than the one we looked at before. So I guess I don't know which one of the two could be it. This one makes more sense based on the looks, just the way it looks. Although it doesn't look like it has the antenna sticking out, or maybe it does have antennas and we just can't see them. Based on looks, I think this one's more likely, but based on the description or where they live, the fig eater might make more sense. Let me know which one you think it might be down in the comments below. I do think it's one of these two, though. I did look around at other beetles, and I couldn't find any others that kind of fit the look or would make sense based on the location of the game and where they would be in the backyard. So like I said, there's going to be a developer live stream later today after this video goes live, and they'll be over on Twitch. I'll leave a link for this down in the description below. The developers do stream every Wednesday over on Twitch at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And the reason this one's more, I guess, I don't want to say more important, but more interesting than normal is because the game director, Adam Brennick, is going to be on there. He's typically been on there when big information was released. In fact, I can't remember the last time he was on there, but I do believe it was probably before the last big update. I think it was before the Hot and Hazy update release, because that was back in, what was it, October? So yeah, I think he was on there for that. He was definitely on there during the birthday, the 1 year birthday anniversary stream, which would have been right around when the Hot and Hazy came out as well. Or maybe he was on there before then too. Typically, anyway, he's usually on there when a lot, like, more information than normal is going to be on there. Because right now, the community managers and when they stream, they'll answer questions, but they kind of limit what they answer. And a lot of times they'll say they'll get back to us when we ask questions. Having Adam on there, he's probably going to be able to answer. I mean, if he wants to, he can answer any question that players will have. And I do think because he's on there that they're either going to say, hey, the public test server is live right after the stream ends, or in the near future. Based on all this information that has been shared recently, I think there's a good chance that the new public test server will be open a few hours after this video goes live. If it's not available today, I think it will be by the end of January at the very latest. There's been too many teasers in too short a time to string us along for much longer. So that's what I think, but what do you think? Do you think the public test server will be open tonight, or do you think we'll have to wait a few more weeks to play the new grounded content? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing for the best grounded guides, tips and tricks, and news-related videos. If you want to support the channel even more, click the join card on the screen right now and become a channel member today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.